In today's emotionally charged world where misinformation and manipulation have become tools for social survival, we all encounter liars, people who twist facts, bend the truth, or outright deceive to gain power, attention, or cover up their flaws. But the real damage doesn't come from their lies, it comes from how we react. That feeling of rage when you know someone is lying to your face. The burning desire to shout, accuse, prove them wrong. But what if you could feel absolutely nothing in that moment? What if, instead of letting your emotions spiral, you could respond with such calm that the liar feels unsettled while you remain completely centered? That's exactly what the ancient Stoics mastered. This video isn't just another self-help rant. It's a battle plan built from the wisdom of Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca, designed to help you dominate any conversation with a liar without raising your voice or breaking a sweat. We're diving deep into 5 powerful Stoic strategies that, when practiced, will not only give you the upper hand in tricky conversations, but also turn you into someone no one dares to deceive again. If you want power without aggression, peace without retreat, and dominance without drama, this video will become your go-to blueprint. Before we dive into the 5 strategies, let's understand why liars disturb us so deeply. A lie is not just an untruth, it's an attack on your perception of reality. It makes you question your judgment, your trust in others, and sometimes even your own worth. When you catch someone lying, your fight or flight response kicks in. Your brain screams, "This is wrong. You must fix this." And that's exactly where most people lose their power, by reacting emotionally. The Stoics, however, had a completely different approach. They trained themselves to separate facts from feelings, to see lies as events, not personal betrayals. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." That single mindset shift changes everything. When you realize you're not obligated to react, you become untouchable. This isn't about letting people get away with dishonesty. It's about handling dishonesty in a way that strengthens you instead of weakening you. With that foundation laid, let's get into the heart of the matter. 5 Stoic strategies that make you a master at handling liars. Strategy 1. Control what you can. The Epictetus rule. Picture this. You're sitting in a performance review at work. You've spent months grinding late nights, double-checking every detail, going above and beyond. Then your manager says something that stings like a slap, crediting someone else for your hard-earned success. You blink. Your jaw tightens. Your blood starts to simmer. And in that moment, your instincts shout, "Defend yourself. Fix this. Fight back." But what if I told you that reacting, even with all the facts on your side, would only hand them your power? This is where the Epictetus rule comes into play. Epictetus, a former slave turned Stoic philosopher, taught a principle so deceptively simple that most people overlook its depth. Some things are up to us, and some are not. This is not just ancient wisdom, it's a razor-sharp tool for psychological freedom. In that meeting room, you can't control your manager's perceptions, your co-workers' lies, or even the opinions forming around the table. But what you can control is your breath, your tone, your posture, your response, your state. And that's where your real power lives. See, most people confuse control with force. They think strength comes from raising their voice, dominating the room, setting the record straight. But the Stoics flipped this idea. To them, strength wasn't reactive, it was internal, disciplined, almost invisible. It's the kind of strength where everyone else panics and you stay calm, where others rage and you observe, where others reach outward and you go inward. Let's go deeper. When Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us," he wasn't encouraging passivity. He wasn't saying let injustice slide or turn the other cheek out of weakness. He was issuing a challenge. Can you stay anchored when the storm comes? Can you choose stillness when your ego is begging to lash out? That's the battlefield Stoicism lives on, not out there in the world, but inside your own mind. Now let's flip the script again. You're in a relationship, and your partner says something subtly untrue, maybe about where they were, who they were with, or what they said. You catch it. You feel that punch of betrayal. Most people, they'd explode, confront, accuse, get pulled into a long emotional war, filled with yelling, crying, blaming. But a Stoic? A Stoic slows down time. They ask, what's mine to manage right now? Is it the other person's truthfulness? No, that's theirs to own. What's yours? Your dignity, your clarity, your next move. So you pause, you breathe deeply, you remind yourself, I control how I respond. That's all I ever truly own. And in that clarity, you act deliberately. Maybe you ask a calm question. Maybe you take a step back. Maybe you say nothing, because you realize their lie says more about them than about you. That is not weakness. That is restraint, in a world addicted to instant reaction, is the ultimate power move. Here's where this really hits home for the US audience. We live in a culture that idolizes dominance, reality TV meltdowns, viral clapbacks, savage tweets. The loudest voice wins. Right? Wrong. In reality, in boardrooms, relationships, courtrooms, negotiations, the person who keeps their cool owns the room. They control the flow. Why? Because emotions are contagious. When you stay calm, others lean into your energy. You guide the moment instead of reacting to it. That's what Stoics knew before neuroscience ever proved it. And here's something even deeper. When you master what you can control, your mind, emotions, tone, you begin to build a kind of quiet confidence that no one can take. A liar might steal your credit. A manipulator might twist a story. A boss might misjudge you. But none of them can touch your peace unless you give it to them. That's the game. That's the Epictetus rule in action. It's not about never being lied to. It's about never letting the lie own you. Now imagine living this way for real. You walk into any situation, chaotic family dinner, messy breakup, heated argument at work, and instead of feeling like you're drowning in emotion, you're floating above it. You observe the madness, but it doesn't touch you. People sense something different. They don't mess with you as easily. They may even start to trust you more. Not because you force the truth, but because you live it. Calmly, consistent. That's what Stoicism trains you to become, an emotional fortress in a world of glass houses. So the next time you feel the urge to snap, rage, or obsess over proving a liar wrong, stop and ask, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, your breath, your tone, your next step, own it like a warrior. That's how you win. Not with louder words, but with unshakable presence. Not by dominating others, but by dominating yourself. And that, my friend, is the first key to becoming untouchable in a world full of chaos and lies. Strategy 2. Observe, don't react. The Stoic scientist mind, in a world that constantly pressures us to respond immediately, emotionally, and loudly, the idea of observation without reaction feels almost unnatural. But to a Stoic, this is where true strength begins. When someone lies to you, they're not just distorting facts, they're testing your emotional stability. They want to respond. They want your anger, your confusion, your need to correct them. Why? Because your reaction gives them control. That's where the Stoic flips the script. The Stoic doesn't react. The Stoic observes. Imagine yourself as a scientist in a lab. A subject, let's say a liar, is exhibiting behavior. Your job is not to get angry at the subject. Your job is to collect data. What did they say? How did they say it? Does this contradict earlier statements? This observational mindset does two powerful things. First, it protects you from being emotionally hijacked. Second, it gives you the clarity to see the situation for what it really is, not what your emotions want it to be. The Stoics believed that emotions often cloud judgment more than lies do. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality," meaning it's not just the lie that hurts, it's the stories we tell ourselves about the lie. They must think I'm stupid. Everyone will believe them. If I don't respond now, I'll lose. But these thoughts are assumptions, not facts. The Stoic knows this. That's why they wait, they listen, they study, and in doing so they regain the upper hand. Here's what this looks like in action. You catch someone lying. Maybe it's subtle, a twist of the truth, an omission. Your emotions want to explode. But instead, you slow down. You watch. You listen to the inconsistencies. You make a mental note. You start forming a timeline. You act like a detective, not a victim. And over time, their lie becomes more exposed, not through confrontation, but through careful, quiet observation. When you don't react, the liar loses confidence. They begin to wonder what you know, what you're thinking, whether they've slipped up. That internal uncertainty is powerful. Your silence becomes suspense. Your observation becomes pressure. And you didn't raise your voice once. To the outside world, you look calm, rational, composed. That's real social power, because while others